G'day guys, welcome back to a new episode of the Boundary Riders podcast. A lot to talk about today. We have some news regarding the Sam Draper situation, of course. A couple of the suspension news. We'll talk about the 20th team as well. And of course we have our fan favourite segment of Flog of the Week and the World Sports segment. But let's roll the intro guys and get straight into the new episode. And then Rankin from the pocket, don't tell me, Isaac Rankin!
Yeah.
He's just got the license for a brothel.
Well, I think Gather Round's going to be more than just AFL. I think this is next season.
It's at the handle at the back. Nick Dacos to get the pies home. He's done it. So as always, guys, joined by my brother in Jack as always, and let's get it out of the way. Welcome to all our new subscribers, as the new 20th team videos got quite a lot of views and quite a lot of support. So welcome to all of you. If you are watching this episode, first time you've seen us, this is my brother Jack, and I'm Dylan who made the video. I'm claiming it. Now, how did you feel about the video? Did you feel like...
I thought it was, interesting. There's not, he's going to be interesting who, if they do bring a 20th team, what the AFL would do.
Well, alright, we might as well start here anyway. Do you think the AFL will bring in a 20th team?
Not for the next, I don't think, at least 15, 20 years. I really don't. I really think it's going to be a long time if they do it.
I saw an interesting statistic that the AFL actually have not waited 10 years after having an uneven number of teams. So as soon as they've had an uneven number, it's been about 5 to 10 years, and then they add a new one.
Yeah.
But I kind of agree with you. I think in recent time, doing the research on the video, that it's going to be very... I don't know where they'll put it. I'm not really convinced about anywhere in particular. Now, there was one thing about the video that I did get wrong, and I'm happy to admit it. When the Mayor of Joondalup mentioned a northern identity in WA, I thought... or in Perth, sorry. I thought he meant by north, a northern identity, he meant northern part of WA, so places like Broome and all that. He meant, and what most people have pointed out, is that he meant a northern Perth identity, saying that the West Coast and Fremantle are more for southwest or whatever. So I got that wrong, and I've actually been planning to make a part 2 to this video, because you guys who did leave support for the video and left a lot of comments, a lot of feedback, actually was quite interesting. So I thought we could look through your comments and talk about some different teams and different places in Australia. And some people were saying New Zealand as well about a potential option. I doubt it. I've done some research on New Zealand, and it would be cool to have an international team in the AFL. Obviously we've seen New Zealand teams in Australian competitions, like the NRL with the Waratahs, and the NBL with the
Warriors.
Breakers.
It's not the Waratahs, it's the Warriors in the NRL.
The Warriors. Why did I say the Warriors? Oh,
the Waratahs. That's the Super Rugby. Yeah. That's not. Sorry, I'm an idiot. Anyway, sorry. Them, the Breakers in the NBL, and also the Wellington Phoenix in the A-League. That's what I was trying to say. Sorry, the Warriors. I thought it was... I don't know why I said the Waratahs. I know they do have a team in the Super Rugby. Who gives a fuck about that? Does anyone even follow that anymore? I don't even hear about it in Australia. No, because since Israel Folau brought up all that shit. And,
true, yeah.
Yeah.
But not give a fuck about rugby union anyway. But anyway. If there was a 20th team, where do you think it would go? I know you haven't done a lot of research about it, but have you thought about maybe an idea?
Not really.
Not really.
To be honest, not really thought about it. I think there's not a lot of options. There's not a lot of... I don't think there's a lot of players to be able to support a 20th team.
That's what I've thought, but I think that's an AFL fault. That's the AFL fault.
I think that is, yeah.
I think the AFL... Because an interesting statistic that I heard yesterday was the last 12 premiers... 12 premiers have all had an average age of 27. But before then, the average age of premiers were 25. So there's a lot more older players, like teams that are older are winning premierships and being more successful. But they mentioned like the Swans got there a bit early in 2022 when they got flogged by Geelong. Won't talk about that too much. But I think that's an AFL problem. Like, we don't have the rookie list is nothing.
No.
They're not breeding players for the rookie list.
No.
They're just adding their players that they don't want to pay too much, their experienced players onto the rookie list, which is just ridiculous. It sucks. So I think, and they've talked about the Aboriginal pathways into AFL now are becoming less and less, and they have to fix it and have to deal with it because there aren't enough Indigenous players, especially in places like the Northern Territory and, far north Queensland, that aren't getting involved in football anymore because the pathways aren't there. So I think that's an AFL issue. Now, I mean, if the Tasmanian team's not coming for 4 more years, they're obviously going to focus on that. And I'm not suggesting that... I do believe somewhere down the line they will add a 20th team. I feel like they will. But I feel like this is going to be a long time coming.
Yeah.
When doing some more research now for the next video, the part 2, I've looked into the ACT and North, the Perth WA area, a lot more in depth about it, and it does look like WA have a lot of upside for it. It's got a very good population in Perth. The stadium, obviously, and the time zone can accommodate for an extra game a week, so there's a lot of positives. But I talked to you before this because we're talking about the video, and one of the big problems I think I see with a new WA team is attracting players. Because how many players have gone to Fremantle in the past 5-10 years? Like, think about it. They have not been able to attract a second forward before, ever. Who's been the partner to Pavlich? No one. And now who's it's Taberner and Amos in his second year, or third year maybe. So they're not being able to attract them. And Logan McDonald looks like he's going to re-sign with Sydney.
Yeah, but
so
also
they can't even get locals to come back to Perth.
Yeah, well, that's what the thing is. Like, if the ones that are coming back are locals, like Jackson's the only one, like besides Jeremy Sharp, but he was delisted.
Exactly,
so,
he got picked up as a free agent. So, well, delisted free agent. But when people are coming back to Perth, the only place they're going basically is West Coast. And look at the last trade period as well. Flynn and Brockman were the players that went back to WA. And they went to West Coast. And we'll talk about West Coast a little bit later because I do think they're playing very well. But last year they were nothing.
Yeah.
They didn't look like there was any sort of horizon. They were the worst team in the comp.
And players still went there.
Yeah, exactly. But no one went to Fremantle. In fact, players left Fremantle. Like even Liam Henry, who was a Perth native, a WA native, I believe. He was not Victorian. And he's gone to Victoria to play for St Kilda. So I feel like that's a big roadblock for WA, which I mean, the AFL are obviously trying to push a lot of players to go to Tasmania, and you've seen how much they have to do to get them even thinking about it. Is these huge pay packets that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, like $1 million as a sign-on bonus.
Yeah,
like the AFL does have a lot of money, but it's not never ending.
Yeah.
So if they are going to think about putting a 20th team down, I feel like the support would be there. I would assume. And there's a lot of population in those areas, like Joondalup and Bunbury, I believe. They do have like big numbers of people, a lot of immigration starting to go over there. But will they get supporters from Fremantle? Like, are they not supporting Fremantle or West Coast already?
Yeah.
And would they leave them? And I feel like that's a big thing with... I don't think SA can do it. I just don't think they have the supporter bases, and they don't have a big enough population.
South Australia is not. I don't think can support a third team. I just don't think
they
say the area.
Yeah, Norwood's like the big option, they say, but some people in the comments were saying that Norwood would be able to get supporter base. I don't see it. They would have to the majority of the Norwood fans are Crows fans. So are you going to tell me that Norwood are going to take all the Crows fans away? But let's say they even take half. That would not ruin the Crows, but that's a huge debt on the Crows. They have been probably the most successful South Australian club for the majority of the time. Even Port Adelaide have been there. It's only been the last 5-10 years that Port Adelaide have been able to compete. So let's say Norwood do come in, that would gut the Crows, which I don't have an issue with, but that would obviously be a detriment for the 20th team. And that's what the AFL have got to think about. I do actually think a Perth team is more viable than a South Australian team. But I do think there's a lot of roadblocks, and I don't think it's the perfect option either. But I don't think any of them are. I think it's going to be very hard no matter what.
Yeah, that's why I think it's going to be at least a decade for them to even consider a 20th team.
Yeah. Now, I was pretty adamant in the first part that North Australia would be an option. I did ask you about it, and you thought that would be a bit difficult. Did you think, out of the 4 options that I gave in that video, did you feel like there was one that would stood out more, or...
Not really. I think you can't go another South Australian team. Northern Territory doesn't work.
The population isn't.
The population doesn't. Yeah, there's too many.
One person in the comments, and by the way, there's been a lot of comments. By the way, sorry that I got the pronunciation of Joondalup wrong. I'm sorry. I don't live there. I come from South Australia. Sorry that I got the pronunciation of Joondalup wrong. Alright, trust me, I've been pronouncing it all the fucking time now to get it right for the next video.
That's great.
But anyway, someone because I mentioned the point of like Northern Territory having a team, and it would be great. Obviously, it would make the competition whole, but it was an Australian competition whole. It would, but there are so many roadblocks in the way, and one of the big ones was like the crime and the reporting on crime in Northern Territory. And some guy in the comments was like, "Oh, that's not that big an issue." I'm like, I didn't respond, but I'm like, even if it's not a big issue in the Northern Territory and the reporting is false, which it very well could be, on the outside looking in, the perception of it is bad.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to attract players, trying to attract a supporter base outside of the state, and trying to build a fan base, build a supporter base, build a club, and get marquee players, you're not going to get them if they feel unsafe going there. It's not like Tasmania. No one, I mean, other than the Snowtown murders, really, there's not really much bad things going on in Tasmania. I mean, as long as you don't fuck your cousin, you should be fine. I'm sorry, that was such an easy joke. That sucked. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have said that. Not that it's not true, but but yeah, I just think that I do think it's a very interesting topic about the 20th AFL team. I do think down the track it will come. Yeah. But I think I feel like it's going to be a very long time. And I would pretty much rule out South Australia doing research on it. I don't think they have the big enough population to support a third team to get more supporters. Because I feel like now, everyone in South Australia who follows football does go for an interstate team or goes for the Crows or Port.
Yeah, you look at it, Port Adelaide got theirs in 97.
Yeah. That's
what, nearly
30 years now.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'll be over 30 years by the time Tassie come in. So I don't think that will be the case. And I'm doing more research on Perth and WA, and they do have some very convincing arguments to go their way. But I feel like for Port Adelaide, except for the Crows the last 5 years, obviously with the camp and stuff, a lot of players left. But they've always been a pretty good club to get players. Port Adelaide have always been pretty good, especially lately. West Coast have always been good, but Fremantle haven't been able to. So why would a third team get more supporters? Get more players in.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then build a supporter base. I feel like a supporter base would be good, but you've got to get players in, because if your team sucks, no one's going to go. Look at the Giants. It's only just now that they're starting to build a fan base thanks to Josh Gaynor, the lord of the Giants
social media
page. Some guy abused him from Carlton last week. It's like, bro, what are you having to go at the social media manager for, you goober?
Did you see well, not the meme, but the
little clip that he put out.
The clip that Carlton put
I didn't see the Carlton one. I saw the one that the Giants put out.
The Family Guy.
Yeah, the Family Guy. I do like to. I love how he's brought the laughs and that to the social media.
But I've seen that a lot of other teams are starting to do that sort of stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm glad that he's starting to
That's what. Yeah.
I do like that, because I mean
that's what you do these days. That's what you have to do.
Well, I think he's kind of I don't really follow a lot of international sport, but I do follow a little bit of English soccer and the NFL. They don't really do it. It's something very unique as well. I don't think I've seen it around the world, but it's something that attracts a younger fan base. Because everyone's on social media now. Everyone's on the fucking internet. If you're not on the internet, you're the weird one. So, he's growing a fan base, and they are growing pretty significantly too. Yeah. They've got a very young fan base, but they will grow, and that's the way to do it, I think. It's not I think Tasmania will be a bit different when they come in. They've obviously got a pretty big supporter base going there anyway.
And heritage.
As well. So they've already got the older fan base, the older Tasmanians who live there, and probably retirees as well, because a lot of retirees go down to Tassie. But then they've also got the supporter base going up as well.
Yeah.
Growing up. So I think that's a bit different. If I had to put a point on it right now, I still think North Australia is going to be the option. I feel like that's what they're going to do, because I think they do want to... I feel like that's what an AFL sort of look would be, that the AFL want to build in the Northern Territory, and they want to give them a team, but there's just... It's not viable enough to get a Tasmania to give them their own team. It's just not viable enough.
No.
But I do think that's an option, that they could merge with a Cairns or a Townsville, because Townsville and Cairns and that do have sporting teams in Australian competitions. But I do think the AFL, because it is basically the biggest, I think that's the only way that Darwin could get a team, or the Northern Territory's half. So I that hasn't changed my mind too much. But looking at it, it's very interesting. I do like your guys' feedback, so I do appreciate it. There are a couple of people like really angry at me. And it's like, bro, I don't make the decision, because I said like. Norwood couldn't get it or whatever. I don't think South Australia will get it. And they got so... Like, some people get so angry, like, oh, bro, you don't understand. It's like, do you think I make the last fucking decision? No! Get over yourself. I'm not that fucking... whatever. But I do appreciate you guys mentioning the Joondalup stuff and North Perth. And it's made me actually look into it a lot more as well. I did do a pretty good look into WA. But a lot of it actually wasn't really reported on. And that was really the only source of wanting it in WA, so it has made me look more into like WA football, and it's something as well that like a lot of people don't talk about outside of WA. Like there's a huge bubble in WA for sport in football, but outside of like here, South Australia, in Victoria, I would imagine in New South Wales, and well around the country, no one really talks about WA much. Like we talk about West Coast when they're like up there. But even then, you don't see a lot of their games. Like, when's the last time they get put on normal television, like free to air? I know most people now don't have have KO and stuff. I would imagine, but there are still people out there that don't have like KO or Foxtel or whatever, and they watch football only on free to air. So if you don't see them, you don't think about them.
Yeah. And
really, West Coast have only been in the papers the last few weeks because of that they're finally winning a couple of games. And yes, it is Harley Reid, but I guess we can move on and talk about the West Coast Eagles. The last couple of weeks, they have won their last 2 games. And I mean, it has been good to see. So they've made themselves, I don't want to say relevant. I know a couple of you may have seen the TikTok that I put out where I bagged Footy Classified for saying that North Melbourne should have tanked and got the draft pick for Harley Reid. I feel like there's other options that North Melbourne could have gone down, like trading for it, than just, they should have just fucking lost the last game. Yeah. Rest of all their players. Like, is that really what we've come to? Do we have to think about tanking just for North Melbourne to be relevant? Seriously? Like, and I did mention it as well, like, McKercher doesn't get, like, they just disregarded McKercher, but obviously they still would have had him as the number 2 pick. I looked at it as North Melbourne would have to trade pick 2 to get pick 1. That's how I was looking at it, to get Harley Reid. But I would really like to ask Sam McClure how he's feeling right now. I bet you'd be pissed off, wouldn't he? Yeah. It'd be so shitty.
He still can't believe he went to West Coast.
What do you mean he went to West Coast?
What do you mean they picked him? It wasn't supposed to be.
No, I just think it's... I do think that West Coast have been very good the last few games. I watched the last 2 games that they have won, and I watched them against the Swans. And Harley Reid has given them a new lease on life up there, or across there, I guess. I feel like though you got to give credit to other West Coast players as well though. I feel like they're getting let down. They're not being mentioned enough, and the fact that they've the first time in nearly 4 years now they've had a team of players that are not injured, and they're not actually fielding like random people from WA into their waffle team. Yeah. They're actually, somewhat competing, and Liam Ryan should be back next week as well, they're thinking. Dom Shee came on as the sub this week. Obviously, Elliot Yeo's been massive this year. I think he's been one of the... I
think he'd be leading their BNF at the moment.
He's got the most votes out of the Boundary Riders medal so far. So he's definitely improving. So, McCullen's been good, obviously. Barras is back. Yeah. Like, they have, the 2 key backs that, would compete against anyone in the comp. They have Jake Waterman, who is not being talked about enough at all. He's kicked 11 goals in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
Like, why is he not being talked about?
I
understand the Harley Reid hype, obviously, and he's played really well. I'm not taking that away from him, but you got to give credit to the other Eagles players.
Yeah,
they're playing good footy.
Yeah, and it's like you got to also think that Oscar Allen is out at the moment. He's injured.
Oh, he's I think the Jack Darling will retire.
Yeah,
that's going to be a really good forward line.
And that's you look at it as like they're winning games with even out their best forwards out. And the one that's been really the only one that's been consistently playing in the last 3 or 4 years for the West Coast, who's been one of their most experienced in Oscar Allen, and he gets injured. Yeah. But they've got I've always said that they've always had the depth in their team. They just haven't been on the field.
Yeah. And I feel like that's why I put them bottom at the start of the year as well, because I just didn't trust that their medical staff would be able to get them online. But I think also another one is Don Pike getting over there.
Yeah.
He's definitely brought a different look to them. When he went to the Swans, he brought that new game plan of like pressure football.
Yeah.
And, the quick football that they've been using. And West Coast now, it took them a couple of weeks, but they've suddenly brought a new, different brand of football. Because they kept on, obviously in 2018 when they won the premiership, they had that possession footy, which was kind of against the norm. People started to be using the Richmond method of high pressure, small forwards. But West Coast played it a different way. They used a lot more possession football. But then when the game evolved, West Coast didn't really adapt.
Yeah, they didn't, yeah.
They didn't. So that's been another big issue for them as well. But now they're bringing a different brand of football with them. And they've got the players behind them that can do it. So I think that's another thing that people aren't really mentioning. They're all just, glazed goggles on Harley Reid. And again, I'm not trying to take anything away from him. I feel like people in that TikTok whatever were acting like I was having a go at him. I'm not. I think he's a very good player and he's going to be a star. But you've got to give credit where credit's due. There's 23 players running out there every week. There's not just one.
Yeah.
So give credit where it's due. West Coast as a team have turned around in the space of 7 months to actually be a decent team. And they've got to keep on going. They've got the Gold Coast this week. If they can win that 3 in a row, then I'll start thinking, all right, that this team's going to be something in the next couple of years. Because they do have the depth there. I think they still should have got rid of Gaff, and they still should have got rid of Darling. And I don't think that would have hurt them this year, let's be honest. Gaff would have been sitting in the reserves currently. And Darling, he's given them a second option, which has helped Waterman, because he's obviously been taking the second key defender. But even Waterman had moments against Alex Pearce, one of the best defenders in the comp. Unfortunately, you don't think that. But
he was showing up against West Coast forward line this week.
Well, he played up against Waterman, and Waterman dominated him.
Yeah.
So we've talked about West Coast a bit, but we've been talking.
It's the first time we're talking about them in a positive light for the last 3 years.
We were just mentioning about how WA are irrelevant, and the first 20 odd minutes of this podcast we've been talking all about WA and the West Coast Eagles. Anyway, I'm really impressed that they're back and they're looking good.
Yeah.
And it's better it's better for the competition if teams are showing something.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a different team that's not really doing anything. North Melbourne. I want to talk about them a little bit. So this is kind of a different sort of podcast. We usually talk about the news topics and then we move into some other stuff. But I want to kind of break down a couple of teams because we're 6 rounds in now.
Yeah, we're over the buys. We're over the buys. Everyone's played even.
Anyway. Yeah, we mentioned it in the review on Monday. Sunday night. That we looked at the ladder for the first time. So this is like the first real look at it. And North Melbourne are currently the only team that are winless. They have gone no higher than 17th in 4 years. I think it's since 2019 they have not been finishing higher. So they've got all the compensation. They've been getting compensation picks. What else do they need?
Well, everyone thinks thought it was going to be Clarkson was going to be the answer. People are starting. I never really bought into it, to be honest.
He's never been a rebuild coach.
No, he hasn't been.
I mean, he was way back when he started at Hawthorn.
But he was also because he was younger then. Obviously, he wants to have the list.
I feel like if he was coaching Gold Coast,
I think
it would be not so much. If he was coaching if he got the Gold Coast job or even the Essendon.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah.
I feel like he'd be doing a lot better. But I just don't know. And I mean, it's hard to question a guy who's won 4 premierships, obviously. We're just two goobers sitting in a room. But I feel like they're going to be playing Harry Sheezel through the middle of the ground. Now, my AFL fantasy brain says don't do that.
Yeah.
I'm going to be getting 30 possessions a game. But he's doing no damage with it.
No, he's not. And he's getting kick-outs because, that's not a way to get possessions. That's not a way to get better at football.
Yeah, it's not going to help your team too much if he kicks it into the back pocket, steps out of the square and gets a little kick.
Yeah.
North Melbourne's recruitment's been freaking dreadful. I mean, look, they picked up Stevens and Fisher in the trade period. Yeah. Picked up Newen as well. But
I just
who's their target? They have Nick Larkey, who's got 6 men holding off of him. They got Paul Curtis, who's been decent.
Yeah.
Zerha's done nothing.
Yeah. They think he's gonna leave at the end of the year, but
that's
we could say. Did you hear what Kane Gordon said about that today?
Again, not today. I didn't hear what he said today, but I heard what he said at the time. He said he's not leaving. What he said about Jason on France.
Yeah. So his minute said he can't leave because of what he said about Jason, how he got so shitty at Jason Horne-Francis for leaving. He can't. Yeah.
And I don't. If I'm a North Melbourne player looking at it right now, I'm saying, why would I want to stay?
Yeah.
There's no look on the horizon. And look, maybe they'll go and win in like 3 weeks, or they'll win in 6 weeks. They'll win maybe 2 games this season or 3. Who knows? But they're not going to finish below higher than 17th.
No.
Let's be honest. Who's going to finish below them? I feel like they've got the wooden spoon already. You might as well give them the number 1 pick now.
Yeah.
Give him whoever they want to pick at number 1 pick now. Get him into the team now. Put him in the reserves. Make them play for the VFL team for the rest of the year. Get them to know the teammates, because there is no hope.
Yeah.
They've got no one to kick to other than Larkey. Yes, Curtis can kick some goals, but he's not a tall. They're not got no one to bring it to ground. Comben looked good in the back line, in a set mark, and they chucked him forward in the second half.
Yeah.
Alistair Clarkson's too. I don't know why he wouldn't chuck Sheezel on a wing.
Yeah.
Chuck him on the wing. Chuck him through the middle of the ground. Give him something. Davies Uniacke's not doing enough. Simpkins playing at half forward. Put him through the middle of the ground, please.
Yeah.
He's been a good midfielder. I think he got in the All-Australian 40 a couple of years ago. Give him a go. Tom Power's been decent. But then you got the likes of Will Phillips. Why would you pick Will Phillips in the draft a couple of years ago when you got Logan McDonald there?
That's the one thing I just never got, is that you needed a big bustling forward, and you go for another midfielder when your midfield was a decent midfield. You can breed a midfielder from fucking the VFL and make them an AFL player, basically. You can't breed a 500, 600 career goal forward. That's where you go to the draft. Yeah.
And, obviously, the likes... If there's Harley Reid in the draft, then you pick him at pick 5 if he's there. But, as a midfielder, is what I'm saying. But if you got Logan McDonald there, you pick Will Phillips, and no offence to him, but he's not done anything yet. And if he's not performing for North Melbourne yet, there's a lot of danger signs there.
But you look at it, they didn't get Logan McDonald. They didn't get Aaron Cadman. They didn't get either of the King brothers. When are they going to get the forward to help out Larkey?
Yeah.
There's been so many...
I feel like if they do... Let's say they do finish bottom. I think they will. Do you think they will?
Oh, I think they will.
They need to trade the number 1 pick to someone. And get a big forward or a big defender. Something. Trade it to the Giants. Get someone there. Get Jack Buckley. Offer him the bank. Do that. Go to Port Adelaide or... look at... I'm not saying Tottenham. Or Georgiades or something. Offer Port Adelaide the number 1 pick. It doesn't hurt to try. Ask. Say, Georgiades, you want to be $1 million player? We'll give you $1 million a year to be our second key forward. Do that. Do something, because right now, they are the most useless bag of dog shit football club, and they don't look like improving at all.
There doesn't seem to be a light at the end of the tunnel for this hiding that they're getting.
Yeah, exactly, and they'll get raked through the coals this week. I think that's pretty fair to say.
Yeah,
and they won't give a fuck what we say. They're not going to hear us, but they're going to hear it from other people.
Yeah.
But at this point, I still don't think they should have tanked that last game. No. I don't think Harley Reid makes a difference to this football club right now.
No, because that's another midfielder that they already, he'd be still playing in the forward line. I reckon if he was playing at North Melbourne this year, he'd be in the forward line.
Yeah, Harley Reid's not going to fix North Melbourne, because let's be honest, if they go forward, who are they kicking to? Nick Larkey, and 6 people are holding off of him, that they won't get it saved. And when the ball goes forward, it goes into defence for North Melbourne, they get scored against. They get pummeled because they've got no one in defence to hold up. And then Alistair Clarkson chucks their only key defensive tool in the last few weeks who's looked decent up forward. Like, why didn't they chuck Nguyen up there? Because they showed on First Crack, you were mentioning, he didn't know what he was doing. Toby Pink is in the VFL. They recruited him because they thought, he's one of the best reserve league footballers in defence, and he's playing in the VFL.
Yeah.
Give him a go. Chuck Nguyen up forward. See what he can do.
Yeah.
Don't chuck your best defender, who you've been training in defence all pre-season in Combin, up forward. Because what did he do? He had one touch.
Yeah.
He did compete, but Nick Larkey competes.
Exactly.
Paul Curtis competes. Cam Zerha competes. They're not going to kick you a win and score if you get pummeled, if you get 150 points kicked on you.
Exactly.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I did go off at North Melbourne in the review as well, so I've gone off again. But it's frustrating because you want a competition, even though we're supporters of your Port and I'm the Swan supporter, we don't want to see a team that's there that's just uncompetitive.
Yeah.
You want to see a competitive competition. And 17 clubs right now, I think, can win a game against anyone on their day.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, look at Richmond. They beat the Swans a couple of weeks ago, and now they've got injuries galore, and they lost
the Eagles 2 weeks ago.
They lost the Eagles 2 weeks ago. So they can do it. But North Melbourne right now, they've got the Crows next week, this week.
I think they're lucky that that's in Tasmania, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it gives them the 1% chance that they could win it.
Yeah.
Because they've got Crows who aren't... Well, to be honest, the only win they got this season was away, the Crows. But before then, they've been flat-track bullies for the majority of the last 2 years. But I'm not going to pick them. Anyway, let's move on, because we can just bag about North Melbourne all day. Alright, let's talk about the Sam Draper situation. So, if you don't know... Well, no, we're not going to say that. He took a swan dive onto the football on Friday night. Wasn't pinned holding the ball. AFL came out and said that they made an error in the non-call on Draper, but they made a bunch of excuses saying that the ball got knocked out and then Taylor Walker dragged it back in. There are 4 of you out there. They fucked up again. Why do we have to talk about this every single week about a blatant umpiring error that's cost the team a game? This is the second time this year. Yeah. We saw the Fremantle one a couple of weeks ago, and now this one. Blatant wrong decisions that cost the team a game. Yeah. This is $1 million business, and it's costing clubs games. Yeah. And their excuse is, we didn't see it. They brought out a 4th umpire so you could fucking see it, and all 4 of you were like, I didn't see it. We understand there's going to be human error. There's 4 of you out there. Make the right decision in that big point. That umpire on that photo with Sam Draper is right in front of it. Yeah. You're telling me your eyes wandered and you didn't see it?
The thing is that everyone knew there was like literally 30 seconds left. To be honest, if all the umpires should be around be at the 50 of the Crows' goals, that's where they should have been. All of them, all 4 of them. It wasn't gonna. If it gets bombed out, they can see it. They're right. The furthest the ball was going to go was to the 50 mark of the Crows' goal. Yeah. With how long there was left, surely that those dickheads that could run if it goes that long far past it.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Why are they not? They
should not asking all 4 boundary umpires to be there. We're asking the field umpires to be around the play with 30 seconds to go.
Yeah. So that you know, they don't need a zone. The fucking defensive 50.
Have 2 people behind it, have 2 people in front, like fucking diamond stagger it. Yeah. Surely all 4 of them missed it? Yeah. Are you kidding me? Yeah. That's the excuse they use? I fucking hate that. That is so bullcrap. Look, Sam Draper took a dive on it. That was holding the ball. Did you say that?
Yes, it was holding the ball.
Look, Port supporters saying that is holding the ball.
Yeah. That cost them that game.
That cost them the game of footy.
Yeah.
And look, it's been twice now that this happened to the Crows in the last, 10 months?
Well, they're saying it's 3 times in the last 2 years. Well, to the end of last season.
Yeah.
3 times.
Now, look. Obviously, there was a mistake, the other one. And the AFL fully took that on the chin. Yeah. With that one. So now they've overcompensated and they review every single one that is about 5 metres away from the goalpost.
It's actually getting more annoying. Just them they're saying, we have to look at it. It's like Fuck off. You're just wasting more time. You're wasting more time that people don't want to waste.
Yeah. It just makes the crowd annoyed. It just makes everyone watching annoyed. The only person it's pleasing is the couple of people up at the AFL.
Yeah.
Because they were the ones who were telling the goal. The goal umpires, I don't think, want to do it either.
No.
They've been told to do it. So I'm not putting this on the umpires. I'm putting this on the AFL. The AFL need to come out the next week or two and say, if you are calling it as a goal, let them review it upstairs and take it back to the middle of the ground.
Mm.
And most people have said that by now. That should be the case. But the AFL need to come out and say, they need to tell us why. Because they still haven't told us why. But we kind of know why. Because they don't trust the technology. They don't trust the umpires enough, surely. That must be the reason.
Yeah.
They don't trust the umpires enough to make the call.
Mm.
Which is like, if you don't trust the people who work for you to do their job,
why are they employed?
Why the fuck are they employed?
Yeah.
Anyway, fucking joke. Obviously, that was the wrong call from the umpire.
Mm.
From the umpires, sorry.
Mm.
Interesting news, though. Ray Chamberlain was umpiring this weekend. Did you see that?
Yeah, he was in the Derby.
Yeah, he's in the Derby.
I thought
he retired. So good to see Ray back. Love you, Razor. Not really, but whatever. I know my mate Steven loves him. You do not speak to me like that, okay? Anyway, let's move and talk about the suspension. So we're really off today. We're having a huge whinge.
Mm.
Toby Green and Jesse Hogan both got 1 week suspensions. Now we're recording this on a Monday, so I'm assuming they are going to challenge it.
Yeah, and Tom Barras got a 1 weeker.
Yeah.
They've all challenged it. They're all going to go to tribunal.
The Jesse Hogan one was a hit behind the ball, a little tap on the face or something. But that always is it's always graded now as intentional.
Yeah.
So that's automatically 1 week. Same, I think, for Barras, I believe. I think it's the same sort of thing. You hit someone behind the bill.
Yeah,
whatever.
I can't remember if I saw that one.
The Toby Green one, look.
It was the same.
It's the same as Peter Wright. And look, I'm sorry that people still get annoyed by this, but it's going to be a week.
Mm.
It's going to be a week.
Yeah.
You can't do it anymore.
Well,
I'm sorry, it's the fucking point.
Well, who knows? The tribunal is different now, so you never know.
Fucking stupid.
I wouldn't be surprised if they get rid of the one for Toby Green.
Look, if they get rid of the one for look, I don't want Toby Green to get a week. I know I'm a Swans fan. I don't want him to get a week because I think he's very entertaining and I think it's going to be a good game against the Lions. I want him to play.
Mm.
But if you give Peter Wright 4 weeks, you give him a week because he didn't get concussed.
Yeah.
And it's not that I'd really like the fact that they take the injury into consideration, really. I still think they should take a look at the act. Mm. And the act itself should probably get a week or 2.
Yeah.
Because Toby Green went up, braced with his shoulder, and went into Boyd.
Mm.
Now, the matter of the fact is, even if it was in the act, he was trying to brace for impact, he should have gone up with his knee and tried to mark it.
Mm.
Now, I know it's a big ask for the player, but the AFL have to take a duty of care with the head now, and the player going back with the flight and Boyd has to... The opponent going into him has to take a duty of care.
Mm.
It's just the fact of the matter. Now, you can argue, yes, he was in the act of trying to take a mark, and he was just bracing because he knew he wasn't going to make it to it. You can make all the arguments you want. The fact is, he hit him. He didn't go for the mark. He didn't keep his eyes on the ball the whole way, and he pulled away and he hit him head high. He's lucky that Boyd didn't get an injury, but it's going to be a week.
Yeah.
And it's unfortunate because I think against the Lions it's going to be a really good game on Anzac night, I believe. Yeah. So it is disappointing. I'm not happy about it. And I don't think anyone should be happy about a player getting suspended. But the fact is, now in the AFL, you can say it's pussy rules or whatever you want, but they've got to take a duty of care with the head.
Mm.
We've seen enough now to know that head injuries, head knocks, and stuff like that are such a dangerous thing, not just in the now, but for the future.
Yeah.
And unless both players are competing for the ball the whole way, you're in trouble.
Mm.
That's just the thing. And it's not that I understand that these players, it's a dangerous job for them. And maybe they should, expect that, they're going to get a head injury if they're going to play. But if the AFL's got to take a duty of care, and the player who's going to hit someone who's going for the ball the whole way, because Jordan Boyd didn't do anything. Mm. He went for the ball the whole way.
Yeah.
So Toby Green's got to go the whole way as well. That's just the fact of the matter. And I'm sorry, but that's the case. And it's not that I love it. I love players going back with the flight and, the big hits. But you can't hit the head.
Mm.
It's just the fact of the matter now. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move into our fan favourite segment, because I love it, you love it, you love it too. Don't tell me you don't, you little minx of you. Anyway, we are back with the Flog of the Week. Oh yeah, here we go. Alright, now we've had a couple this week. Oh, everyone was vying for the nomination.
Yeah, it seems like they just... The last couple of weeks, there's been a lot of a lot of people that could get it.
Yeah, it's like when 5 people take a big mark or a big goal or whatever, but you only can pick one. And Sam Draper was very close to claiming this for his little act after the game. Bit of a flog act,
kind of funny.
Kind of funny, but a bit of a flog act. We have not given it to him because one of the big things we look at here is the journalists who, make up these fake stories or whatever they do, are really the worms of the fucking football space. They make up these stories, they follow these players around and do all this kind of bullshit while sitting in the in the back saying, "Oh, we're doing it to keep the truth out or whatever." But really, you're just looking for a story. And people won't know this name, but at the moment, he's taken my nominee so far because this is the most bullshit flog act I've seen all year. I think. I think this is bigger than Tom Morris a couple of weeks ago. So, there's a journalist by the name of Josh McLean. Heard of him?
I have this week.
No one would have heard of him. I don't even think his mum would pick him in a fucking lineup because this guy is a loser. Absolute loser. So, Josh McLean has got our nomination this week. So, again, you don't know who he is because no one does. But the reason why he is the nominee this week is because Daniel Rioli, in his week off, by the way, went up to the Gold Coast. Now, there would be many Australian citizens who, on their week off from their job, because this is his job, would go up to the Gold Coast, have a little bit of fun, have a little bit of, time off. Now, if you're a Richmond fan, you probably know where this is going, because this happened with Dustin Martin last year, when he went up there and had a drink and a food with Damien Hardwick. But Daniel Rioli went up to the Gold Coast with his girlfriend and had a holiday. So, I believe he's in the airport coming back to Victoria. Now, good old Josh thought, this is a perfect time to get him on an interview. So, he runs up to him and goes, "Hey, Daniel, how did you feel about visiting the facilities of the Gold Coast?" No evidence of that because he hasn't shown shit.
Yeah.
And he goes, and Daniel Rioli turns around and says, "What are you talking about, mate?" Because he's up in the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
So obviously he went to the Gold Coast Suns, tried on a couple of jumpers, check what kit number he's got next week. This is what he was doing, obviously. Yeah. Good old Josh has the report. The only thing he's seen is him at the fucking airport. Good on you, Josh, you fucking flog. And then he asked him a bunch of questions, like Daniel Rioli says, "Yeah, it's a good spot for a holiday." Because it is. Right? Are you fucked in the head, Josh? Anyway, so, whatever. Daniel Rioli leaves him. Should have spat on him, to be honest. If he punched him in the face, I would have given him a high five at the airport if I was there. Absolute wanker. Now, when I make the clip for this, we'll see if I can actually find a picture of Josh McLean because it's such a nothing name. It's like Sam Smith. No one knows who... There'd be a million Sam Smiths in the fucking world. There'd be probably a million Josh McLean. So we'll see if we'll be able to find the actual Josh McLean. But right now, Josh, you are this week's Flog of the Week. You are the nominee because you should be absolutely ashamed of yourself for fucking following a player around an airport, making absolute bullshit up, throwing a bunch of bullshit questions at him because you needed a story, or else fucking your boss would have gone, "Oh, you didn't make a clickbait story this week? You're gone." So, fuck you, Josh, you wanker. And that is our nominee for the Flog of the Week. What do you think? You think that was pretty good?
Yeah, that was beautiful.
That was pretty good? Yeah. Fucking wanker. Absolute flog. Shows no evidence of fucking Daniel Rioli doing anything at the Gold Coast Suns.
Yeah.
Bro. Anyway, let's move into our tips for this week, eh? So, of course, we are up to round 7. Finally, the buys are over from the opening round, of course. And we have Anzac round. So, massive Anzac round. Probably one of the biggest rounds of the year. It's pretty much a round now.
Yeah.
Just a couple of days. And we do start with our tips on Thursday or Wednesday night with the Anzac Eve game, the traditional game between Richmond and Melbourne. I have actually gone Melbourne. Then the traditional Anzac Day clash, I've gone Collingwood over the Bombers. Thursday night, I've gone the Lions over the Giants at Manuka Oval. On Friday night, I've gone Port Adelaide over St Kilda. Saturday afternoon, I've gone the Crows over North Melbourne. Saturday evening, I've gone Carlton over Geelong. Saturday night, I've gone Fremantle over the Western Bulldogs. Sunday early game, I've gone the Gold Coast Suns over West Coast. And on Sunday afternoon, I've gone the Swans over Hawthorn. So those are my tips for this week. What are you going with?
So... Anzac Eve, I've went Melbourne over Richmond. Anzac Day, I've went Collingwood over Essendon. Anzac Night is Brisbane over Brisbane over the Giants. Friday, I have went Port Adelaide over St Kilda. Saturday afternoon, I've went the Crows over North Melbourne. Saturday twilight, I've went Geelong over Carlton. The Saturday night, I have went the Bulldogs over Fremantle. Sunday, I've went the Suns over West Coast. And then I went the Swans over the Hawks.
Okay, so we've actually got a couple different this week. We've tipped a lot the same the last few weeks, but we've got a couple different. So we'll start off with Anzac Day, because I think that's a fair thing to say. Collingwood versus Essendon.
Yeah.
I think Collingwood are back in their form. I think that's just a fair thing to say now. They look like they're back.
Oh, yeah.
And they smashed Port Adelaide after the first quarter and a half.
Yeah.
I think they're right back. Nick Dacos actually got some meaningful touches this week. So if he can get the ball, this is what Harry Sheasel needs to do with North Melbourne. Needs to get some meaningful touches. It's all well and good to have 35 touches in the back pocket, getting a little kick there, and going playing off half back. But he's having meaningful touches in that game against Port Adelaide and played really well. Jordan De Goey was massive through the middle of the ground.
Yeah.
I don't really know. I think Caldwell will go to him in
Yeah.
midfield. I think that's going to be their best option, but I think De Goey's going to be able to beat him around the ground.
Yeah.
And I also think that it'll be interesting to see if Draper does play, because he didn't play that well against Adelaide, and they may have to go with Goldstein.
And with Peter Wright coming back, obviously.
Yeah, I don't think they play Goldstein, Draper, and Wright in that team. I think that's pretty... And Harry Jones looks like he's done pretty well the last few weeks for the Bombers up there, which I think is good. I just think Collingwood, they're good enough to hold up against the Essendon forward line, and I think Collingwood smalls up forward will do enough. I think Schultz is playing himself into a bit of form. Bobby Hill's going to be dangerous
He was
as
back.
always.
He was definitely back in form after that game against Port Adelaide.
Yeah, Lipinski even's playing pretty well off that wing role for Collingwood. I think he's going to be enough against Essendon. I just think Collingwood, they proved last week against Port Adelaide, they're back to what they should be.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a close game. I think Anzac Day, it's always good. Great game. It was a big build-up. I feel like Essendon, they need to lock down De Goey, and they need to stop the small forwards of Collingwood. I feel like that's the two big ones. And whoever's playing on Darcy Moore just has to get away. It has to be dangerous, is what I'm saying. Because if they let Darcy Moore just float around all day and just take easy intercept marks, they'll just rebound off the half-back line all day and just go down the other end and kick goals. Yeah. So I'm picking Collingwood for that basic reason, and I think that they're back. I don't think Essendon will be able to go 3 in a row.
Yeah. I'm very much going Collingwood with the more experienced midfield, I think.
Yeah.
And Pendlebury only needs 4 to crack 10,000 disposals.
So he'll get 4 or something.
He'll get 4. He'll get 4 within the first probably 10 minutes of the game.
Yeah.
And get the record. We'll get that record, and they'll charge into another win, and get better than half. Get their 4th win of the season.
Yep. All right. Next one, we got a pretty big game: Giants versus the Lions. We've both gone the Lions, surprisingly. Is this because of Toby Green being out and Jesse Hogan at the moment?
Them two, and the fact that Sam Taylor's not there.
They're not expecting him to be back.
I don't think even for me to tip the Giants, all 3 of them have to be in that game.
I tend to agree. If all 3 aren't there, then I can't pick them. And like we talked about earlier in the podcast, this will probably be a clip, but if it's earlier in the podcast, we did talk about the fact that Toby Green, I don't think will get away with it.
The big thing also for Brisbane is that Oscar McInerney's not going to be there with the concussion he got against Geelong.
Yeah, that's
which
true.
Is going to be because Darcy Fort will come in for him.
Yeah, I think that will be okay. Obviously, it didn't help them against Geelong. They didn't have another ruckman option. And the game was a fucking slugfest because it was in the wet. I don't think that's Brisbane's game.
No.
So I think in Manuka, look, may not be the best weather either because Canberra is always a bit on and off.
Hit and miss, yeah.
Hit and miss. But I do think the Lions will be able to win this game. I think that they had a disappointing performance against Geelong, especially in that second half. I thought they'll fire back, and GWS just have so many big outs. And look, if all three of those are in, Sam Taylor, Toby Green, and Jesse Hogan, I'll think about changing the tip. But even Cornelio's out as well, and that's a big one for their midfield.
Well, you also look at it as like Brisbane have lost all the games at home. The two they've won have actually been away, so...
You're right. They've turned it around.
Well, yes, one of them was against North Melbourne, all right?
And one was against North Melbourne, the other one was against Melbourne. So, one good win so far this year.
One good win, one actual win.
Yeah, to be fair, Brisbane, maybe we're thinking too much of them as well, because they've only won one decent game this year.
Yeah.
So, maybe that's the case. I still think Brisbane will win. Next, let's talk about probably the biggest game of the round, I would say. Geelong versus Carlton at the MCG. What a big game this is going to be.
Terrible time slot.
Well, I'll be able to watch it anyway. This will probably be the game I stream as well on Saturday. We'll see how we go. But this is going to be a big game. Geelong versus Carlton. I've went Carlton, you went Geelong. I'm going to go Carlton because I just think now that Tom Stewart is out, that's going to be enough that Carlton can be dangerous up forward. Carlton just can't bomb it though. As long as they can hit up their targets, they don't just start bombing it. Because even though Tom Stewart won't be there, Geelong still have a very capable defence for intercepting.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, against Brisbane last week, the intercept game wasn't there because of how crap the weather was. But I still think that the likes of Jack Henry, Sam De Koning, all that, they can still play their game. But, yeah, they have to lower their eyes a bit, get their small forwards involved. But Harry Mackay, Tom De Koning was good up forward when he was there. I think they're going to be too dangerous for Geelong, and I think that Carlton will win this game.
Yeah, I think there's just too many injuries. But yes, they played the Giants, but I thought the Giants start of the season they played a lot of easier teams, and Carlton was their first real big test and they lost it. Yeah. But the Carlton, they're coming up against an experienced Geelong side who did beat Brisbane, I think, on the road at the Gabba. So I think the experience that's going out of Carlton's side is going to be huge. That I think. Geelong should be able to win that game. And getting Tyson Stengel back into form after
a pretty poor last year.
Last year, yeah. So I think the small forwards should be able to dominate the small defenders of Carlton.
Yeah, okay. Also, by the way, I helped him with his homework once. I went to school with him and I did his class for quite a while. So look, I don't want to say that I helped him win the premiership in 2022 in his All-Australian form, but yeah, I at least had a hand in it. Anyway.
Let's be honest, they beat the Swans to do it, so it was kind of like,
Yeah, you're right. Anyway, last game I want to talk about in the tips this week is Saturday night, Fremantle versus the Bulldogs. What a big game this is, because both these teams need to win. Bulldogs on the fact that they, last week was a response game. They always going to.
And I don't. To be honest, I don't know why people would tip St Kilda last week.
Yeah,
they were always going
to. Bulldogs play like a premiership team when they need to respond.
Yeah.
Fremantle were dreadful against West Coast.
Yeah.
They didn't kick a goal till about midway through the second term, and were dreadful throughout the rest of the game. I picked Fremantle because this is at Optus. 1. 2, the Bulldogs already had the response game. There's no Chubb anymore. They don't need to do it. And Fremantle need to respond. That was a terrible performance against West Coast in the derby. They should have been up for it. They weren't.
Yeah.
This just feels like they've lost 3 in a row now. They need to prove themselves if they want to make themselves, known in the AFL space this year. Because the start of the year, they won 3 straight games and they lost to Carlton just. People were thinking this team's going to be something. They lost to Port Adelaide just. People wavered a little bit. And now they just lost to West Coast and now no one's thinking about them anymore. They need to get themselves back on track. They need to win this game, and I think that they will. And I do think that Jai Amos is a big loss for them, because obviously he'll be out this week. But I do think that they do need to find a way to get Jackson involved, even though Darcy's in the team. I'll be interested to see how many more weeks they last with this before they have to think of something else if it doesn't work. Because right now, if I'm Fremantle, I'm almost thinking we need to go... Maybe give North Melbourne pick 1 for that. I don't know. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, right now I'm picking Fremantle basically on the fact that I think Western Bulldogs shot their shot last week. Why have you gone the Bulldogs?
Because the Freo can't score. And they're coming up against a pretty good duo in Liam Jones and Buku Kamas. And I think that they'll hold up. And the fact is that Norton kicked 6 goals. Cody Waitman kicked 3 early against the Saints. Jamara didn't play that game. And I think they'll have the firepower. Even if they just have to break even with the Dockers' defence. And the defence of the Bulldogs will hold up. Because they won't kick a winning score. And I can't remember who said it this week. But having 2 elite ruckmen in the same team.
Oh, it was Daniel Gorringe who said that.
Whoever it was. But yeah, having 2 elite ruckmen in a team means you have none.
Yeah,
because
Gorringe said that.
Yeah, it doesn't work. They both don't work. Like we saw at Melbourne last year with Brodie Grundy and Max Gawn, does not work.
Yeah,
and I think Tim English and they're doing Sam Darcy. They're doing it with Sam Darcy at the moment. It'll work. And
because Sam Darcy actually plays a bit of forward.
Yeah.
Luke Jackson, he was okay at Melbourne, but he was mainly a forward there. He was mainly playing forward.
Yeah, and he was they were experimenting him in the ruck.
Yeah. Giving
experience in the ruck, but he was a forward at Melbourne.
Yeah. So I get what your point is with the Bulldogs.
So that's why I went the Dogs.
Okay. Alright guys, that's basically our tips for this week. Make sure to let us know down below who you will be picking this week, if you think your team will win, if you think our tips are wrong or right. Usually no one ever says they're right.
I got the most. I did pretty well. I got 5 last week.
Yeah, well, speaking of that, let's take a look at the league. So, of course, we have mentioned it many times. We have a league for our Boundary Riders channel. We obviously started at the start of the year, so if we have some new viewers, we'll be doing it next year as well, I guess. But we'll take a look at the ladder. So, right now, Brandon S. still has the lead with 2 points on 39 tips. He's doing really well. It's going to be hard to catch him. Christy H. is in second spot. You right now are in 8th, and you got the equal most this week with the 5 tips. I am currently sitting in... Where the hell did I go? I'm in front of you. I'm on 35 right now in 6th spot. Oh, look at me go.
So how far were you behind the top guy?
So I'm 4 tips behind on the top one.
Yeah.
So looking at it right now, who else got 5 this week? So we got one person, which is you, and then that's... Oh no, Brooke K also got 5 this week. So she was in 10th spot. So she got some tips back, which is good to see for her. Right now, Daniel C is on bottom with a 32. Need to pick it up there, Daniel. You're only 7 tips behind top, so, you know, big week from you, big loss from Brendan, maybe a back winner. It's not that bad. Like, it's only 7 tips. Like, it's not the worst gap.
And this is the like we just went with our tips. There's a lot of 50-50 games, really. If you look at it,
this is a week that you can get yourself back into.
Yeah, or you can lose it all.
Yeah, or you can lose it all. Exactly. So, you know, half glass full, half glass empty. Let's see how we go. So I'm currently 4 tips away from top, and Brandon S leads by 2 points on second spot. So he has a good lead at the moment. And every single time I tip, I quickly take a look to see if Brendan's tipped differently.
Yeah.
See if I get it right. And then I lost one last week because I tipped bloody GWS because I'm an idiot. Anyway, let's move on. Let's talk about our AFL fantasy teams. So this week I won. Yeah, good on me. I got 1,764 this week. So good on me. Let's take a look. So Harry Sheasel, 106 as the captain. Pretty good. Take that. Elliot Yeo, loving him, 88 as well. Clousey, another 73. Looks not his greatest, but I'll take it. Zach Williams did get injured, was subbed off at halftime with a 28, so that was a little bit disappointing. Just trying to look for some like differences and stuff that we like bit on and off. Brodie Grundy, top scored for me in my team this week with 142. Great performance against the Gold Coast Suns. And yeah, maybe that. I think they needed that week off the Swans. I feel like that was a good response from them. Isaac Heaney had a good performance as well. Sam Flanders with the 126, kind of playing off a half-back role. So won't be able to get that position in AFL fantasy because he started as a midfield forward, but that was good to see from him. Tom Powell got himself to 82, thank God.
Oh, he was horrible in the first half.
Yeah. Jackson Mead got his spot in the 22, so I put him in my team. I changed that trade late and put back off Windsor, and he got 48. So I've had to hold him again this week, because I'm going to try and save up some money in the next few weeks and then get rid of another.
Are you going to keep him in your actual 22 though?
I may keep him in my best 22. We'll have to wait and see. I may actually swap him out for Garcia, which I'll talk about my trades in a sec. And Charlie Comben, I brought him into the team. He was like 24 at quarter time. I was like, oh, here we go. He was on 33. I was like, that's okay. They chucked him forward and he ended up on 35. So I was like, fuck.
Fuck you, Clarkson. Fuck you, Clarkson.
Fuck North Melbourne. Anyway, to my trades this week. My first trade was I got rid of Sanders off my bench. He's on 500k when I got rid of him, so I felt like he's bottomed out. Obviously, started as a sub last week for the Bulldogs. Got rid of him. I picked up Hugo Garcia from the Saints. First two games. First game he started as a sub. Came on late third quarter. Got 55. Massive performance in his first game. And then he got about 70 this week. So I got him in. And then my second trade. This is basically the first trade that I've done where I've gone low and picked up a high player. So this is the first one. This is where I'm going to start rebuilding my team. This is where it's going to fucking go. I got rid of Zach Williams this week, injury, and the fact that I was going to get rid of him anyway. So kind of good points, good time to get rid of him. And I got Sam Walsh. So I was going to go and get Josh Dunkley because he was 960. He's been very good for Brisbane this year. He got a 90 against Geelong, but I don't really count that as a 90. I think he would have got more if he didn't play so much ruck. Because he had to play in the ruck. It's a second ruck in the second half. So I felt like he would have got 100. So that's why I've gone. But the reason why I've gone for Sam Walsh is the fact he's 50k lower. I felt I was going to go with a 200k player for Sanders, but I felt like, look, I still need a cash generation. Picking up a 200k player at this stage is still risky. So I went with Garcia. I know he's going to play because I don't think they're dropping him. He was one of the few performers to St Kilda against the Bulldogs. So I think he'll play. And Sam Walsh, his first two games has looked very good. So I feel pretty confident in that choice. So looking at my team next week, at this stage on Anzac Day, I'm going Nick Martin on my vice. I feel like Collingwood aren't really much of a tagging team. He'll get a lot of touches, and I think he'll have a good performance. My captain at the moment is Harry Sheasel. I don't think the Crows are going to do anything. I am a little bit tentative on him though, because I do think that Clarkson may make a change at the week. I think he may. So right now, if I had to pick a captain elsewhere, it's going to be tough. Maybe Max Gawn against Richmond. I may think of changing that to a vice and then putting Nick Martin as captain. We'll see how we go. But also Nick, and also maybe Flanders as the captain as well. That's kind of where I'm looking at right now. But at the moment, like you said, maybe Garcia will go into the team for Jackson Mead. That may be an option. But right now, I'm kind of looking, like I said, trade a couple of those rookies right now who have kind of priced out, kind of stopping and going low, and then trading out players like in my team that are like starting to bottom out, like Jackson Mead, who was not the right option at the start of the year. I shouldn't have got rid of Harley Reid a couple of weeks ago. I was even thinking next week I'll get rid of Mead for Harley Reid because right now he is a good choice. He's gone 80 and 78 the last 2 weeks. I think against the Swans he got about 70 as well. So that's where I'm looking at right now. What have you done this week?
So last week I got 1804 and I won my league, so I'll be happy with that. Back on the winners list, which I needed. So yeah, I had captain on Sheasel, which I'll take. D'Ambrosio played like dog shit. He got 33.
Subbed out as well, I believe.
Yeah, he got subbed out. What else was there? Zach Fisher got a 60. I'm not happy about that, but there's too many other holes in my team. Dempsey, it just wasn't their game, Geelong, to play in the wet weather. It wasn't his game. It wasn't his game. And obviously I had Charlie Comben on my team. I had Harley Reid on my bench, which I was disappointed that I did do that.
Yeah, well, you chuck Comben in the reserve list next week, depending where he lines up.
Yeah, so that was... And I had Darcy Wilson and Gallagher on my bench, which they got 60, so I'll take it. But
I mean, it would have been better than 36.
It would have been better than that, but yeah. If he played like you said, he was on 24 Comben at the quarter time.
Yeah, he's got 11.
He's got 11 for the rest of the game. Like if he didn't play forward, he would have scored. He probably would have scored something.
Yeah.
But in the end, so my trades this week are I got rid of Riley Sanders and I've got Ewan from North Melbourne, and I got rid of D'Ambrosio and I got Jai Caldwell. Caldwell has got last 3 weeks he's got hundreds. So
yeah, I was thinking about Jai Caldwell as well. I just think that like as a forward option in the future, he is definitely looking like someone this year who's going to be playing a lot through the midfield for Essendon. So I think that's definitely a good choice. You've already got Isaac Heaney and Sam Flanders as well, don't you?
Yes.
So you've already got the two best ones, and Tom Power as well, which is one of the better ones as well. So really the only one you needed left is Dane Zorko.
Pretty much, yeah.
You're one of the few players who's got a decent forward line.
Yeah, well...
It's just the rest of the team.
To be honest, there's not a lot of cash gen at the moment. Like, the ones that you'd like every 3 or 4 weeks for a debutant to start and then come back and start well. But
in a dream
scenario, like, to be honest, like I got last year when I had my best result. I always had that.
Yeah.
But so
I mean, at the moment we've had Clousey and Graham probably been the two. Have you got them too as well?
I didn't get Graham. I just thought that yes, he had so many tackle 14 previous week.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just don't trust that for a debutant, like for a guy so young that it does flow.
I have still got him on my reserves list.
So I didn't pick him up. I may pick him up.
He's a 380 now. So it's going to be a bit...
380. I thought he was lower than that. Yeah. So, but this week I've got with Max Gawn with my VC against Richmond. I think he's doing all right. He actually averages... what was it? It was average 111 against Richmond.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty confident in that in my VC. If not, I was going to do this last week, but I'm going to do it this week. I'm going to captain Flanders against West Coast, playing off halfback.
2 weeks ago, if that was the Gold Coast, 3 weeks ago, if the Gold Coast were playing the West Coast Eagles, I'd be very confident.
Yeah,
but the last few weeks, West Coast actually was decent.
Yeah, so that's the thing. Like, I'm also thinking Isaac Heaney against Hawthorn, but I just don't know what tagging role Clarkson's going to do. Sam Mitchell's going to do. It's either going to be him or it's going to be Gordon.
I think it's going to be Blakey, to be honest.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because McGuinness the last few weeks has gone on a half-backer. He went to, a couple of weeks ago, I think he played against the Gold Coast. I'm unsure who he went to, but last week he went to Sheasel. So I feel like that he's going to go to a half-backer. So I think that that's going to be the option. So I still think Isaac Heaney would be a good choice. Yeah. I don't think he can run with him. And I think if Isaac Heaney runs him forward, he's going to get done. Yeah,
that's why I'm thinking that if... I'm just going to wait. I think I'll just make it on the day. If I'll go Flanders or not.
Yeah. Alright guys, that's basically all the AFL fantasy chat we have for this week. It's basically all the football chat we have. So the last thing we'll get into is a little bit of Premier League. We like to have some world sport at the end of it. Know if this has been going for a while, but hey, if you're here for the first time, we usually try to do a bit of an hour or so, and we've probably gone over an hour the last few weeks, which has been so much football talk. But let's talk about the Premier League. So, last week we saw Arsenal and Liverpool fumble the bag. They were a chance.
Yeah, they fucked it.
But this week they have responded. Wednesday morning. So Arsenal play Chelsea. So
you never know which way. Yeah, you never know which way that goes.
That's at the Emirates though, so we're gonna lose that anyway. I am a Chelsea supporter, by the way. You're a Liverpool fan. Looking at it right now, throughout the week, what is the results of that? So Liverpool won 3-1 over Fulham, good result from them. Crystal Palace flogged West Ham 5-2. Aston Villa won 3-1 over Bournemouth. Everton won 2-0 over Nottingham Forest. Have to talk about that game in a minute.
Oh, yeah.
The controversy in that game. Arsenal won 2-0 over Wolves. And Sheffield United lost 4-1 to Burnley. Burnley making a bit of a push now. Luton Town losing 5-1 to Brentford. And on the Tuesday way back, we're going to talk about this first. Obviously, this was way back last week. Chelsea won 6-0 over Everton. We have to talk about this. Do you think Cole Palmer should have taken that penalty?
I didn't see...
You didn't see it? The push and shove?
Oh, no, yeah. Sorry, yeah, no, I did see that. It was a while ago, yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, this was a long time
ago.
Yeah. So, obviously, if you don't know, Palmer is the normal penalty taker for Chelsea. At the time, it was 4-0. Palmer had kicked 3 goals. He got tripped in the box. He was the one who awarded the penalty, but it was called advantage by the ref because Madueke had the ball, and then he got tripped, and then the penalty was called for the Palmer tackle because Madueke essentially dived. So Palmer got the penalty. He went up to take it. Then Madueke tried to take it from him. Sorry, Madueke tried to take the penalty. Palmer and the captain Gallagher said no. Then Jackson, for some reason, came in, thought he could take it. And they were like, no, Palmer's our penalty taker, he's taking the kick. And then they started pushing and shoving and arguing. And then after Palmer nailed the goal, kicked his 4th, Jackson pretty much refused to celebrate with and Madueke was pretty angry as well. And Chelsea player Chalobah had to go over and tell them to go celebrate with him. So anyway, who do you think should have taken the penalty?
Palmer.
Why?
Because he's the one bright light of Chelsea's season.
He's got 20 goals this year. Chelsea would be in the fucking nearly relegation zone if it wasn't for him. Yeah. Let him have his 4th goal, for fuck's sake. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. a really good game from us, and then it's not going to be talked about because they fucking had a go. Now, Chelsea always had big personalities in their changing rooms and their box, whatever. The fact that the fact that Palmer is probably one of the least priced players they picked up over the summer, and he's by far their best player, is hilarious.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not like I'm a Chelsea fan. I follow them, but I'm not going to sit there and act like there's nothing wrong. I'm not a one-eyed supporter. When there are problems at Chelsea, obviously, the fact that they spend millions and hundreds of millions of dollars on players that don't need it, like Asaido and fucking Enzo Fernandez, they're not worth 100 mil, bro. I'm sorry. Palmer, at the moment, very well could be.
Yeah.
But that is his shot to take. He's the penalty taker for Chelsea as well.
And also, he's the penalty taker. So why change it up? Yes, you're 4-0 up, but...
Yeah, people were making the excuse of like, oh, well, let your other mates have it. It's like, bro, this is the Premier League, not Sunday football.
Yeah.
This is not with your kids.
Like, the only time I'd say, all right, the other guy can take it, if the other guy is on 2 goals and he's going for his hat-trick. Yeah. If you're up 4-0 and he's up for his hat-trick, give it to him.
Yeah, exactly. And also, if Palmer said, look, one of them take it, whatever. But if he's ready to take the penalty... by the way, hasn't missed one this season either.
Yeah.
Hasn't missed one. He's kicked 8 penalties and never missed. Not missed. Yeah. It's like Eden Hazard when he was at Chelsea, like his prime. He never missed a penalty.
Even like...
Mo Salah doesn't miss many penalties.
Yeah, James Milner never missed a penalty.
Exactly.
You rely on them to kick your goals.
And right now, Chelsea are mid-table.
Yeah.
Their goal difference does matter where they finish.
Yeah.
And they do have a slight chance of getting European football late, like Conference League. So take your chance. If they can get a goal difference boost here, you don't trust it on Jackson because the amount of times he fucking misses. And Matawaku, who the fuck knows? So let Palmer take the kick.
Yeah.
That's what I thought anyway. And most people had that thought. But some people were like, oh, well, he's already got 3. Let someone else have it. And it's like, yeah, when it's your kids' game in Little League, or whatever, Little League soccer, yeah, let someone else have the kick. But when it's fucking the Premier League, let the fucking guy who doesn't miss take the penalty, bro. Anyway. Luton Town v Brentford. Have you heard the fucking... sorry, not that one. What was it? The game? Nottingham versus Everton. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Luton Town lost 1-5 against Brentford. Terrible performance. I feel like they've shot their shot now earlier in the season. Now they're getting tired.
Well, it looks like Burnley could make their charge.
They could make their charge. But Everton versus Nottingham Forest. Apparently the VAR umpire was a Luton Town supporter. Nottingham Forest were adamant to change it. They didn't. And there were a lot of VAR decisions throughout the game that were controversial.
That made it look like that, yeah.
And they didn't change the decision and they lost 2-0. Nottingham Forest actually came out and said, hey, there's been some shady shit going on. There's been some shady shit in fucking the FIFA Federation before. It would not surprise me if that's the case. But if I'm the Luton... the referee who marks for Luton, I'm sorry, bro. I don't think you're going to get out of there.
No.
You need a lot more help than fucking saving Nottingham Forest a couple of goals. If anything, I'd be going more over Everton, to be honest, because I feel like they're more chance of losing points from like VAR, from fucking the FA as well. So, to be honest, I feel like Nottingham Forest are the only ones who can go down now. Everton, with that win, do knock them away. They're fine. Crystal Palace have been well to get away, and Bournemouth, they got Solanke, they'll be fine. They won't be getting knocked down. And Brentford, with their win against Luton Town, they're fine. So really, the only team that can go down now are Nottingham Forest. But because Luton Town have kind of shot themselves in the foot for the last 5 or 6 weeks, they haven't been able to win, haven't even really get a draw. The only team right now that look like fighting to get out is Burnley. They won 4-1 in the game against Sheffield United. Absolutely killed them away from home as well. And their form is pretty good as well, Burnley. They're playing some pretty decent football. They haven't been doing it for the first 6.5 months of the season. But all of a sudden now they're starting to play well. They've gone 3 draws, 1 win and 1 loss in their last 5. They do have Manchester United at Old Trafford next game. I don't see them winning that.
Well, you never know about United. You never know.
Yeah, it depends on which one comes out. But right now, looking at the live ladder, Arsenal are currently on top, but Manchester City have a game in hand. So Arsenal are on top with 74 points. Liverpool are on 74 as well with 33 games. Manchester City are on 73 points, 1 point behind both of them, but with a game in hand. Aston Villa are in 4th spot with 66. Tottenham are on 60 points. Tottenham do have 2 games in hand on Aston Villa, so they can still...
But they do have to face... Tottenham do have to face Arsenal, Liverpool and City on the way around. I'm pretty sure all 3 of them are on the run home.
Well, for Ange's sake, let's hope you can at least beat City on your days anyway.
It'd be nice, and then
just let Liverpool
just
win.
For me and Errol Gould's sake.
Yeah, Errol Gould. Nice little name drop there. Anyway, looking down at the relegation zone, Everton, I think, have done enough now. They are on 30 points in 16th spot. So they should be fine. They are 5 points clear of the relegation zone with 5 games to play. You
should think that they'd stay up.
Yeah. Nottingham Forest right now are teetering on that spot. I didn't realise this. I thought they were further in front of Nottingham. They're 1 point in front of Luton Town. I thought it was worse.
How far are they behind? In front of Burnley?
3 points in front of Burnley. So right now, Burnley are really coming with them. Luton Town, they've got a worse goal difference, obviously. They got all 3 of those teams have 4 games to play.
Yeah.
So let's have a look at their run home. So right now, Burnley have Manchester United away, Newcastle at home, Tottenham away, Nottingham at home. Oh, that's going to be. I hope it gets to that game.
I hope it does. But you look at that run, and that doesn't look great for
all
Burnley.
teams inside the top 7.
But if you want to play them, you want to play them when you're in form.
Yeah, exactly. And look, they've only lost 1 game in their past 7. So they are getting draws. And look, let's be honest. They shouldn't have drawn against Brighton.
No,
it wasn't for their
stupid goalkeeper
fucking it up.
Yeah,
they would be. Well, look, you take away a draw, 22. You had a win. They'd be in 25 points right now if they didn't drop that game.
Yeah.
So they could still be there. Right now, I think Burnley the only hope. That's tough to say because for the last 10, 15 weeks we've been saying Luton are the only chance of getting out of there. But right now, I think it's Burnley's to lose. Looking at Luton Town, they've lost 4 of their past 5. They did get a win against Bournemouth 3 matches ago. They actually have a decent run. They have the Wolves away, Everton at home, West Ham away, and Fulham at home. So look, not the easiest run, but it's easier than Burnley.
Yeah.
But they just don't look like scoring.
No.
They look like they're struggling to score. They look like they're tired. I just think they've kind of thought, all right, we kind of conceded. We're going to go back to the Championship, build a squad from there to get back to the Premier League the next season. I feel like that's what they're going to do. And then looking at Nottingham, let's have a look. So their form has actually been average. They've drawn 2, won 1, and lost 2 in their past 5. They have City up next. Loss. Even though it's at home, loss. They have Sheffield United, Chelsea, and Burnley in their last 3. They have to win against Sheffield United. Yeah. That's basically...
They have to maybe get a point off Chelsea.
If they can get 4 points in the next 3, they'll be safe.
Yeah.
But they have to beat Sheffield United. I hope they don't, though. I hope it goes to that final
day. You kind of want the final day to be about the relegation zone as much as the title race.
I will watch that game, that Burnley v Nottingham game, if it's the final game of the season, and fucking on final day. If they're fighting, whoever wins that game goes through, either whatever. Because at Burnley, Turf Moor, that's going to be a massive game. Considering Burnley have not really been competitive for the whole season, and they haven't been. They haven't been competitive. Yeah. They've been bottom 19th the whole season. The fact that they could come out of it and survive in the Premier League, that would be amazing for them. So that's a really interesting end to the Premier League. You're still sitting on City thinking they're going to win it now because of the drop games from Arsenal and Liverpool?
Yeah, I just can't see Liverpool winning it from the fact is that Chelsea, City've been in this position so many times. They know what they're doing.
Yeah, I think it's fair enough to say. And they've had so many players they've been able to pick up for easy money because they're cheating. They'll leave the FA results still a couple more years. Let them have a couple more titles, I think. They did get knocked out of the Champions League, though.
Yeah, which I thought was funny.
That was pretty interesting. And Arsenal did too.
Yeah.
So I think it is quite funny that, the best league in the world, it is. Come on, don't fucking go. All of them are out now. So, anyway. Liverpool are still in the... Oh, no, they got knocked out of the Europa League too.
Yeah, we were screwed. We lost 3-0 at home to Atalanta. We'll never get through.
Yeah.
We couldn't,
Anyway, guys, that's basically all we have for today's episode of the Bounty Riders podcast. Thank you for listening and watching. Like I said, thank you for all the support on that 20th team video. We really do appreciate it. We've gone up like 70 or 80 subscribers in the past week. So we've been really proud. I've been watching the numbers, watching the comments, trying to respond and look at the comments, trying to get feedback on it. People really like the way it was edited and that, so that's what I like to see. People want to give me feedback on stuff. More than happy to. I am planning on doing a second part. It will take me a week or so to script it, research it, make it, and then put it out. So, give me some time. I should be able to do so. I haven't mentioned it last week or so, but BR Designs, our very own football print design business, I am starting to continue to make more designs. It's just with these videos and stuff, I've been a little bit behind on them. I am still making designs for them, so I've actually been making 2 for each team. So that's what's in the works for that. So that should be out in the next month or so. I was thinking of making a Tasmanian one, but they actually came up with a pretty good point that a lot of people are like making these crappy designs. Not that ours are crappy by any means, I'm not saying that, but it's their own team. I think they should be selling their merch first. I think that's fair enough to say. So I'm not going to make any Tasmanian stuff until, at the very least, they start releasing a lot more of their merchandise, and then maybe I'll think about it. But yeah, for now, I'm not going to make any stuff for Tasmania. I think they should be allowed to sell their own merchandise until then. So I'm not going to do that. So I've kind of gone away from Tasmania. But when they start coming out, I'm definitely going to start, making some stuff for Tassie because I think they deserve it. And yeah, they're coming very soon. So don't forget that Tasmania are coming. I'm so excited for them to come to the AFL. I think they've deserved it for many years. And I think we need to give some breathing space for that 20th team anyway before they come in. So that's basically my final point. Happy that Tasmania are coming. 20th team part 2 video coming out in the next couple of weeks. Thank you for all the support, guys. Thank you for all the follows. Thank you for all the love. TikTok just hit 100 followers as well. We're fucking hitting all the milestones. We're going to be the biggest thing. We're going to be bigger than the AFL.
Yeah.
We're going to be bigger than the AFL. They're going to need... when they bring Chris Hemsworth in? And they're like, oh, look at him, cool. We've got Chris Hemsworth in. Who gives a fuck? We're going to shit on his face when we're fucking at any Marvel Stadium watching a Sydney Swans and Port Adelaide game or something. Grand final in a couple of years. We're going to be the biggest
we're going to be there.
We're going to be fucking the entertainment at half time. We're going to be that big, guys. Don't you worry. If you want to join up right now, make sure to get involved. Subscribe, like this podcast. Give us 5 stars on Spotify if you're listening over there, because we do have it out every single week, and the reviews are on Spotify as well. Make sure to comment down below what you've, if you're enjoying the channel and that, we're not forgetting about our old subscribers, the guys who have been there the whole time. We love you guys more because you guys were here on the ground floor. You guys were here when we were fucking eating grubs on the floor. But now we're huge. We're big time. We have fucking 600 subscribers. I'm obviously fucking around, but really appreciate the support, guys. Really thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. We'll catch you all next week.
See you later, guys.